I'm going to first talk about some of the tools that we could use for casting. These are wax files. These wax files are used to carve the wax away and remove large amounts of wax quickly. We have different types of dental tools or different types of small little scribes that can cut into the wax and create small little lines. I don't have all of those home here with me, but we do have a few to show you how to use them. This here I use to attach sprues. It has two different sides. You can use it to scrape away wax. You can heat it up and use it to smooth out different parts of your wax design. We also have relatively large files, and these are very coarse or rough files, and this is used to remove large amounts of wax quickly. And then this is actually a ceramic tool, but unlike this file here that is round, this tapers. So if you run this across the wax model, you get a tapered groove. If you run this across the wax model, you get a nice uniform groove. So these are really helpful to make little grooves in the side of the wax if you want. This is what's used to cut it. It's just a miter box, a saw to cut the wax material, and this is used to size the actual piece of wax. And there's a little blade here that is used to remove wax from the inner circle so that you can size it to your finger size. And there's a couple of pieces of wax that are already cut. This one isn't sized yet, so it would have to be sized. Here's one from a piece of round wax, ring wax. And that's some of the tools that you'll be using when casting. We're going to cut a piece of wax now to the size that we need it. So what we have to do first is decide how wide we need this piece of wax to be. That'll be determined by how big your design is on that you're going to need the wax for. So if you have a very wide design, you're going to need a wider piece of wax. If you have a very narrow design, then you would need a narrow piece of wax. This would work for a very narrow design. Notice there's not much there. This obviously is a much wider design. If I had something I was making that had to be wider, that's what I would use. So I'm going to put this in the miter box like this. I'm going to be cutting on this center line right here, on that center line. So I'm going to move this piece of wax past that center line, the exact thickness that I need the piece of wax. And then I'm going to tighten this down a little bit to hold it in place. And then I'm going to start cutting. Using that piece as a guide. There's a small lip here that goes up against the table. And it's a little bit shaky. I was going a little slow so that it wasn't too shaky, but it was pretty shaky there. Now the inside of that you can see is way too small for my finger. So now I'm going to take the ring sizer and I'm going to size it. Now there are numbers along this ring sizer. If I'm a size 9, I need to go to a size 9. So you would have had to size your finger prior to this. sides of this, spin it around. Now you noticed that one ring that I showed you where they carved the line out of there, that they actually filed this down a little bit because that ring was very, very thick. So this is the ring shank part. This is the part where the design would be carved for the top of the ring. So they narrowed that down a little bit because this being tapered, the one side would be down to a 7, but the other side would not if your finger was a 7. You see the difference there? This one side here, I've carved a little more. So if it's too wide, you won't get an accurate finger size. This one isn't too wide. I think I can manage with this. So I'm going to go down to a size, maybe a size 9. If you're not sure what your finger size is, or you have a general idea, you could size it to what you think a general idea, a little smaller, and then just continually take just little by little off of that. I keep spinning it around, and now at this point I can try it on. Now it's not fitting, so I know that my finger is not a 9, even if I didn't know that before, which I did. My finger's about a 10. Right about the middle there. Take my time towards the end. I'm going to check it. Still not there. That's a little bit tight, so I just might want to remove just a tiny bit. And this makes a smooth inside of the ring, so you really don't have to do much at all to the inside of that ring. It makes it nice and smooth. And now we're ready to start carving our design.